This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog, coming to you with another edition of Movie Reviews and Observation number 168. Consistently back in Chicago, living in the same place. Obviously, I didn't watch 7 movies in 1 week. There were some things that obviously came up during the week because that's life and not able to watch a movie every week, but I did watch 7 movies since my last video 2 weeks ago. So I saw the movie Cocaine Bear. First positive, 90-something minute movie. Cool. Second, it is supposed to be a comedy, as Larry put it, but it's kind of like, I would say, kind of gory and grisly a bit. Not on the play on words for bear, but a gory, grizzly, you know, like, I would say a little dark humor in a way. It also has a great character actor in Isaiah Whitlock Jr. He plays this detective who's really on the mission for the drug and is following the bad guy who's doing the drugs in America. Obviously, he gets them supplied from Mexico and Ray Liotta. And this is one of Ray Liotta's last movies. And before I even get to the other movies, this was the best movie that I've watched in a while. Okay? I laughed at some of the things, you know, a little disgusted by some of the gore, but... And Ray Liotta was not playing a good person, not even a good father, but he was a good grandfather. So I'm like, you know what? That's not bad. And then you have Alden Ehrenreich, who I couldn't tell it was him at the beginning, but then I realized, oh, that's the guy that played Han Solo in the prequel movie. Cool. And obviously, I didn't know it was Kerry Russell. I didn't really recognize her playing the mother of a girl and her son who could go in the forest, and like obviously this cocaine is based on a true story where the shipment of cocaine, the guy dies and it goes everywhere, and Ray Liotta's character sends his son and Ice Cube Jr., Ice Cube's son, they go out and they go looking for it. Then obviously you got the cop who's after them, and then you got the park ranger that's played by Melissa Leo. She's in this movie and she's pretty good. I think that's her name. Yes. The point is, the park ranger was someone I've seen before. One of the guy from Modern Family, I forgot, Jesse Tyler Ferguson, I think he played like this animal expert. So they had a interesting cast of people in this movie. The kids were also interesting as well. It's a fun ride to watch, and it was pretty good. I would say I was the best movie I've watched in weeks, especially the best movie I've watched in a while. What I'm disappointed in is there was an ad on Spotify for this when I'm listening on my phone, listening to music because I don't pay for it, that I heard Adam Pally on the voiceover, and he's not even in the movie. I'm like, you made me think he's in the movie. Okay, then I had someone over last week, and I said, pick the movies you're interested in. I was like, let's pick the short one. It had Viggo Mortensen, who's a longtime actor that people respect, and Kristen Stewart, who I have a crush on and is a good one. And it had the movies from the mind of David Cronenberg, so he's like a critically acclaimed, movie maker where people have to like his movies in the first place to be like, okay, that's something I'm interested in. And you're like, okay, cool. So it's a horror film. And it's like in the future where everyone is getting transformation mutations to their body, and I guess they're immune to pain, and all this weird, disgusting, filthy, nightmare, horrific, scary-ish procedure. And like Viggo Mortensen, I don't know if he's actually like doing this because he likes it or he's trying to live forever. And then there's like this whole undercover thing with a cop. It's confusing, horribly written, put together. Kristen Stewart's character very timid and weird, and there's just all this stuff is going on. And I picked it because it was the shortest one of the movies that this person wanted to watch with me. So it was an hour and 47 minutes. It's probably one of the worst movies I've ever watched in my life. I just don't get it, why it was made. Then I saw something that's way more upbeat than any of those 2 movies. Was Rock Dog 3 Battle of the Beat. If y'all remember, the first one was Bodhi didn't want to be a sheep herder. He wanted to be a musician. And the second was he, worked together with a band and they went big and stuff. It's been a while. But as a lot of these children's cartoons, animated movies, they changed the voice cast for sequels and trequels and 4th and 5th and 6th because it's cheaper to do that, to get like which is a good thing that they're giving career voice actors an opportunity to voice the characters. And it was a pretty good movie. He was trying to be like thinking to me about fame and being on all these talk shows. And I was like, yeah, I like that. Because he was like, I want to be on the talk show because for him, it's not all about the music and stuff. I mean, it's all about the music and not the thing. and they have someone that's like, I don't know, like CeeLo Green or some other person, like they have him ridiculously dressed, and he's like a pop star, and he's zinging everybody and being mean, and Bodhi's like, you got to teach the lesson of being good and unity and all going together, but obviously fame gets to his head. He's got to teach this girl group like what it is to be a music group. You know, the famous musician who was supposed to be on the show was voiced by Eddie Izzard, and he's done that before, this famous rock and roll cat, and I was like, that's cool. You know, he still got his father and the ox, whatever, not whatever, in the thing. And at this point, no longer are like the sheeps and the wolves being bad guys and stuff like that, and they're working together. But then there's a fraction of people that want to go back to the old time. So that was interesting. I'm like making fun of like Masked Singer, The Voice, you know, all of these like music shows and stuff like that. I liked it. Learned a lot of lessons, good music, barely 87 minutes. Just watch the original because Owen Wilson and like J.K. Simmons were the original ones. I'm like 98% sure. Yeah, it was Owen Wilson and J.K. Simmons, Kenan Thompson, Sam Elliott, Matt Dillon. Like, that was a really good cast, the first one. Then I was like, I need to put something on where if I'm not paying 100% to the screen, but because it's a documentary, I can still hear and process everything. I watched the movie Roadrunner. It's about the film about Anthony Bourdain called The Journey Changes You. My little critique on this one, because 2 hours is fine for a documentary biopic. You're like, you're learning stuff. Certified Fraud and Confession. I enjoyed it. I liked it. Was I feel like they maybe could have done more about him when he was a young kid, more as a teenager, young adult. It seemed like 55, like a 50, like 55, maybe 65% of the movie was about currently what he's doing and what's going on in his life, more than like all the stuff that brought him to where he is. But outside of that, it was cool to learn more about this famous, you know, chef and his, you know, when he go out and trying things in the world, is, you know, his like persona going out there and stuff. Him in the movie, the documentary I watched about the Lincoln Park chef, Charlie, it was like, you learn about a lot of these people after they passed away, and it's just sad. People don't appreciate them when they're around. Then I watched another long movie called Monday with Sebastian Stan and Denise Go. And, like, in a lot of these movies, they try to make like, oh, look at everybody wants to go out with that girl, sleep with that girl. She's Cinderella. She's the prettiest girl on the planet. She's average looking. I'm not calling her ugly. I'm just not calling her beautiful. And Sebastian Stan, he and his doppelganger, Richard Madden, they got to stop making big-time movies. I'm confused who's in what movie and all the billboards. But he's like a former musician who's been DJing in Italy, Greece, whatever. And he meets a girl at a party, and they have this amazing night together. And then they convince that they should stay. The whole movie is about their relationship with each other. If they can keep that one amazing night going for a lifetime. And he's got his own personal issues. She's got her issues. Ex-boyfriend, he's got a child he wants to get you know, visitation rights and stuff like that. It's a charming movie. It's, you know, like an hour 50 minutes. It was okay. It wasn't the greatest movie. It also wasn't the worst movie. It's just an okay movie. I just don't like the abrupt ending. It just like, done. Then I watched the movie She Said with Carey Mulligan, Zoe Kazan. Ashley Judd was playing herself. Patricia Clarkson was one of the newspaper leads. Andre Browder from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Men of a Certain Age. She was also someone that worked at the paper. And I thought it was a well put together movie. But I'm thinking to myself, it's 2023. There are not enough things that happened in the history of the whole entire universe world that you could have made a movie, that people could make a movie on, that you have to go like, you know what, we got nothing else to do. Let's make a movie about all the stuff that Harvey Weinstein and all the stuff that happened with women in the entertainment industry, and let's make a movie about the New York Times reporters looking into it, because that's what we need right now. It's an important story. I understand what the point is, but I'm thinking, is there anything else that you can make movies about? Like, this thing only, the investigating into Harvey Weinstein's only been like a last 3 to 5 year issue thing. There are probably a lot of things that happened that would be really good to make a movie on, to get people's attention on things that happened 20, 30, 40 years ago. I don't know. This is super important to make it right now. This would be something I would say, you know what? Let's make the movie when he's dead, you know? Like, they're like, oh, let's make it now so it's an impact on him. And, you know, it was okay. It wasn't great. It was watchable, but 2 hours and 9 minutes is way too long. Then the last movie I watched this week, because I usually watch long ones on Saturday, but if, you know, he got the trend that watched 3 2-hour movies almost this week. So I decided to watch something a little shorter. It's like a 92-minute movie, you know, with the credits, post-credits. And it's called Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. My issue is, if they were going to make a second Puss in Boots and maybe make a trilogy or like 4 movies, they should have like made the sequel as soon as possible, like the success of DreamWorks with the Shrek franchise. You make the second, the third movie like close in proximity of each other, but these sequels that happen like years later don't always have the same pizzazz to it. But I was like, cool, Harvey Guillen is voicing this dog. Sofia Vergara is voicing this other sly cat, you know, who's like famous and like wanted, you know, also like pusses. And then you're like, okay, Banderas and her working together. They got a lot of British people, Florence Pugh and some other people voicing the bears and Goldilocks. They have John Mulaney voicing this villain. They have other mythological like story tales and other things happening. And I was like, cool. It was interesting because Puss had to learn a lesson. And that's what the good thing about kids' movies is you can't always get what you want, because then you find out you get what you find out sometimes you already have what you need. A little bit of a love story, friendship. Death is always after you. Don't, you know, waste waiting your life away like he did. Because the whole movie is he wants to go and get that one everlasting wish. Because he has one life left and he wants to get more lives left. More lives to live and stuff. And he's got to deal with all the bad guys going after him for it. Another adventure. And yeah, I just felt like they probably could have made a sequel like this movie years ago and then a third one. But they then said, oh, they're off to far, far away land. End the movie. Here's hoping that it brings back the Shrek universe, and that's a way to tie it in if you make a third Puss in Boots movie. So it was good. I liked it. I don't think I've ever hated anything from the Shrek franchise, so I liked it. But the best movie that I watched this week was Cocaine Bear, just based on everything I just said. The writing, the directing, the actors, the story, the fact that it was a real thing was pretty good. Don't watch Crimes of the Future unless you want to get a nightmare or you're a huge David Cronenberg fan. And when it comes to Rock Dog 3 and Puss in Boots, they're good movies and additions to the franchise, but you go back and watch the original. You learn more about Anthony Bourdain, watch The Roadrunner. If you really want to know about the New York Times reporters investigating into what happened with Harvey Weinstein in Hollywood, yeah, go watch this. It wasn't bad. And if you're a huge Sebastian Stan or like a romance movie, yeah, you can watch Monday. Just stay away from Crimes of the Future. Thanks again for listening to another edition of Movie Reviews Observation number 168. For On the Radar Table Blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.